All right, so this is the intro to the El Camino. This was my COVID project back in 2020, which most people that had projects or didn't have projects or had projects all had some type of COVID project, and this was mine. The car's been in the family, I think 14, 15 years, something like that. This is actually Shauna's El Camino. Bought it off her brother, I think it was a 19, something like that. It was the year before COVID, so bought it from him. Had no motor, had a transmission. I think it's actually the power glide's in the back of the house right now. Has a 12 bolt. He painted this back in high school. Then it pretty much sat basically in this exact spot, just facing the other way. With the front end facing the street. It sat here for many years. Then I bought it off of him, and then COVID happened, and then I started dumping a bunch of money into this thing. Basically, since I've had it, it's got actually some cheap eBay A-arms, which I need to replace now. Coil overflow bottle, it's a Jack Daniels bottle. But it does have aerospace component, it's aerospace components. Brakes, front and rear. It's got the Jegs SSR wheels. Has Viking double adjustable coilovers front and rear. I don't know if you can see, probably not. But if those front and rear, obviously has the LS. This is the 5.3 that actually I bought. I forgot when I bought this. It's whenever we went out with Jeremiah drinking, and I got drunk and ordered a motor off of eBay. So I have this. This is actually the first LS I kind of actually freshened up on my own after watching a bunch of videos. But it's a what was it, LM3, whatever it is. It's a 5.3 iron block. I think it's 7. It's 706 heads on this thing. Yeah, 706 heads. This has a TKM lamb cam, which is actually the same cam that I have for the Gen 2 small block for the Mustang. This has that, basically new valve springs, valve seals, the LS7 lifters, gapped the rings, which I gapped these a little bit too wide. I think it did 30 thousandths on these, so it smokes a little bit, but I figure once I throw some boost at it, it'll be fine. It's got the Holley ultra low ram, which actually this was supposed to be for the Mustang, but I ended up buying a low ram for that. So worst case, if that does not fit, I'll be swapping intakes because I want to keep the flat hood. So worst case, the low ram goes in here, and then the ultra low ram goes into the Mustang. So vice versa. This does have the Holley. This is a Holley stock harness. This has, I think they're 30. I think they're like the 36-pound injectors. I forgot what I put in here. Yeah, I want to say these are like 36-pound flex fuel injectors that I bought for this. It's got an Aeromotive fuel pressure regulator over there. Champion aluminum, I think it's a 2-inch core. Dual radiator fan setup. These are like tried and true radiators. Know a couple people that have them, and no one's ever had an issue with it. But it's got a redhead gearbox. I think they're up in Washington. Then inside, I got a, ouch. It's a, was it PPP? Performance product something. Is it Precision Performance Products? Have their shifter. Actually have a billet cup holder, a huge mess of wiring, which actually, because this car's went from carbureted LS with the MSD 6014 ignition box. Then it had the Holley Sniper, and then once I went down the rabbit hole with the Mustang and I pulled the Terminator off the Mustang, I put the Terminator on here, which is actually here in the glove box, or what was the glove box. So the Holley Terminator sits there. I 3D printed a little mount for it to sit. It's got a Holley Pro Dash that needs to get rewired. I had a turn signal switch right here, but when I had an old cluster, so I had a bunch of auto. When it was the carburetor and with the Sniper, I had the like the full gauge cluster. So it had like a speedo, tack, what was it? Water temp, trans temp, alternator, and fuel level. Those are all gauges like right here. I'll see if I have a picture of that. Had a little nitrous kit for it, but took it out once I went to the full EFI system, or I guess the Terminator. So I got to pull that out, and actually that kit's up for sale. But so yeah, I got the Holley Pro Dash. Has that. I got to clean up all this wiring and pretty much remove most of it. So I gotta figure that out. We redid the door panels, which I gotta add some more screws right here. Yeah, fix that. These seats, oh shit, I forgot where I put these little bracket covers at. These seats are Pro Car by Scat. Super nice. Actually, these got recommended by Jeremiah because he has a similar set in his Mustang. So these things sit perfectly in here, like right underneath this little ledge. So pretty simple interior, not much. I need to do some seat belts actually in here just in case. But trans-brake button right there. The PPE or PPP shifter. It's kind of been the industry standard for most like racing shifters, but now that Motion and M&M Transmission have their shifters out, it's kind of a battle for who likes what. Mustang has the Motion shifter in it. This one I'll keep in here just because they're super expensive. And then this has the air shifter capability if I really want to do that, which now that I have the Terminator, I might, because I have the 4 outputs, which I might put a shift light in here, and then definitely do outputs for the electric fans, and then I have output for something else. Actually, output for the trans brake. So might already be out of outputs, but there's that. I converted the smuggler's box, which actually I put this in here. So when I had the Milwaukee cooler, which actually got sold with the little trailer for the drag and drive stuff, I used to put that there, using the smuggler's box for a battery box. And I'll probably do some like little toolkit or something in there. I need to do another quick latch. This is actually the first quick latch I've ever used, and it kind of a shitty spot, but it works for what it does. Got the battery disconnect in the back. Not much really with this car. Under here, it's UMI upper and lower control arms, the Viking double adjustable front, coilovers, the UMI, actually it's the relocation brackets I have on here, if I can see, right there. It's a relocation bracket for the lower control arms. It's got a built 12 bolt, 187 Performance built this one, just like the rear end of the Mustang. I think this has, I think this is, I can't remember if I had 31 spline axles in here too, but I bought a whole kit that had like gears and everything. Same aerospace components. The brakes are super rusty, you can tell. Car's been sitting actually quite quite a few months. I think ever since, let's see, I think since we got the Mustang, I think is when I parked it. I want to say it's been at least 6 months since I parked it here, because I was having that hard start issue. I was able to start it, and then I was able to start it, move it over here so I could park the Mustang on the side yard, and I think it's been sitting ever since. So honestly, it might be like, well, it sat here for about a year. Then a few months ago, I started messing with it, trying to get it to start. When I was so I'd say 6 months ago, maybe at least, when I put the Terminator on here with the Holly harness, which this Holly harness was actually supposed to go into the Mustang with the HP, but obviously things changed. So it came in here. So I started putting the harness on here, just hoping that it would fix that hard start issue. And then it didn't. So I kept fighting with it. And then I just started really focusing on the Mustang to get it ready for Redwood. And then that's where this thing sat, and it just kind of continued sitting. And since the Mustang is out getting the cage, I figure it's Thanksgiving. Let me spend some time messing with this thing. So I started kind of looking into it, and then started noticing I was having the crank issue, or the crank sensor issue. And then I guess in the little parts kit that I have, I've been building for my little drag and drive trailer in the pack out boxes. I had a spare crank sensor, so threw that in here, and then added the injector harness, or not the injector, but the coil pack harness. This is actually out of the LC9, because the HCR Innovations harness includes the coil pack harness in there. So I put this in here. It started better. Still kind of kept randomly having the crank signal loss. So put the new crank sensor in here. Started a little bit better, then started having some issues. And actually, it looks like I gotta fix that. If I can get out of the light. Yeah. It's leaking. So I gotta fix that. I had so kind of still kept having some issues. Then I remembered a long time ago when I had put this harness in, some people were saying you might have to switch the A and C pins on the cam sensor, which this has the front cam sensor adapter, or well, I guess it's the LS2 style timing gear cover. Removes the cam sensor up front. So I did that. So I moved the pins back, and now it starts up great. So manual brakes right there. It's kind of a bare bones, very basic car. So I'm gonna add another clip in here from yesterday when I was fighting with it. It's kind of reiterating some of the info, and then let me do a little quick startup video, and you guys can hear what it sounds like. So a quick break from cleaning and doing stuff over there, and started playing around with the El Camino. Been having an issue ever since I swapped this over to the Terminator X with a it cranks, and it was sputter, it was backfiring, it just would not start no matter what. So today I started playing around with it, took a little break from cleaning up stuff. I did swap out the crank sensor, which is right there. Swapped that out. I got the car to somewhat start. I changed the injector, or not the injector harness, but the coil pack harness with a factory one, because I had bought a replacement online. So that seemed to help a lot. And then I kept having the crank signal number 6 LED show an error. So I started. That's the reason I swapped out the crank signal or crank sensor for that, because of that. And then still having the kind of same issue, or it started getting a little bit better, and just kept playing around with it. asked Granny Car Garage and Fastlane Motorsports their thoughts, and they were kind of leaning both towards the crank, either the reluctor wheel on the crank being messed up, or the gap being wrong, or something with that. I kept reading into the Holley manual, and it did say it possibly could be a cam sensor as well. And I remembered a long time ago when I started fighting with this thing, I flipped the wiring on the cam sensor and never changed it back. So I literally just flipped it and the car starts right up. So it looks like it was a mix between the crank sensor, the coil pack harness, and the other wiring issue. So here's the factory crank sensor. So this is gonna go in the garbage. Everything's still kind of loose, so I gotta clean everything up, definitely. Obviously this thing chugs out some smoke. This is probably, I think, the first LS I did build or refreshing. So this one I gapped the rings a little bit too wide, and then also it's been sitting a long time, so there's probably a super good amount of condensation in this motor. So but yeah, it'll have a little chimney out of the valve cover, but yeah, it's working. That's the thing I'm happy about. So El Camino's back up and running. Just definitely got to clean up all the wiring in the engine bay. This is actually the coil harness I took out of the motor for the Mustang, just because it's a verified good coil harness, so I put that in. That seemed to help a lot. So I threw the other harness away, throwing this sensor away. But yeah, looks like we're finally making progress. So got the battery in the back. I did buy another battery because I thought the battery in the Optima went bad, because I was fighting with it, because I just thought maybe it was not enough battery voltage. Kind of really chased my tail a good amount, and then finally just swapped the crank sensor today. So I was, if the wiring for the cam sensor didn't fix it, I was ready to pretty much pull the factory Holley harness out and then replace it with the HCR Innovations, like the harness that I have for the Mustang. Just because this harness, it's for what this car is, it does all right. And then I just was ready to give up. So that's pretty much it. So.